have just tuned in, or maybe those of you watching YouTube VODs or Twitch VODs or something like that. Both series now between Rare Atom and EDG, and then of course the later series of NIP and FPX will be happening at basically the same time. We will be putting a picture-in-picture of that second game to make sure that we can keep covering both games at the same time before we end up finishing off with this first series. We're into the last draft between Rare Atom and EDG, and that does mean we are going to see Vikla picking up the first pick Lucian. He's struggled this series. I think that his Corki and his Zeri have left a lot to be desired. However, I do think that this Lucian can dominate lane against Cryon.
That will be the plan. EDG on the other side, trying to find some answers back. Debating a brand themselves. Xiaohao nearly got the better of a few of those fights, even if, as we saw, both games, Azira proving a little difficult for the brand to manage early on. Of course, it was the Lilia in game 1. This time around, Zara's still up and available, so it might end up being the response here from RA. I wouldn't be surprised to see Xiaohao back towards it.
I don't like people picking the Corki into the Lucian. The Corki loses to the Lucian more often than not. I'm surprised that people let this pick go through, and now we see that Xiaohao gets his Lilia as well. I think that this guy's a top 3 Lilia within the LPL. This guy is insanely good at this champion. Xiaoshu also gets his Jax, which is an incredibly potent pick. RA getting a lot of comfort here.
They are, and I went, oh, it'll be the Zyra again, right? And I completely blanked on the fact that Xiaohao had a phenomenal Lilia performance just last series and has had it kind of either banned or taken away from him in the first couple games. That'll be something to keep our eyes on. Cassante was the response from EDG for solo kill. Had 2 middling games on the NAR, I think it's fair to say. Not particularly impressive. Going to be trying to do something a little bit more valuable. As now got to get through into this second phase of picks and bans. Going through them in a relatively rapid clip here. Ezreal banning away from Asum, who does like to go towards that. The Ashe already taken off as well. I wonder whether we continue to pin down on that ball. The Aphelios gone on the other side, though, saying, yeah, no, we cannot give that over.
I'm surprised we haven't seen more of Aphelios. I'm surprised we haven't seen more of this. This champion is in a decent spot right now, and it can hyper carry in a way that a lot of AD carries can't currently. So, yep, it does feel like both these teams need, again, a little bit more of that engage. You're looking towards the Nautilus and the Rel and the Alistar. Those are powerful picks, and as we can see, EDG, they're the ones which end up banning away the Braum, weirdly enough, for them. For some reason, I feel like Braum has ended up being weirdly a brand answer, because if you block that brand ultimate, it ends up meaning that his team buffs get really much less powerful. Saw that in that game too, where Xiaohao couldn't quite get a lot of his skill shots through the brand shield. Normally you'd think that brand would just burn through the Braum, but Braum saves his team whilst he's dying in that sense.
Yeah, and again, brand is part of the AoE, and if the AoE is limited to one person, then there's not much A to your OE. And I'm not talking about Age of Empires, though I do love that game dearly. Trying to see what EG want to lock on in here. That's a Twitch hover, it's not a lock. We've seen 1 or 2 people occasionally look towards it, but it's generally just a hover for Leave. He likes to tease us all with some of those potentially spicy options. It was a Nymaera game 1, it was the Twitch this time around. And instead they will lock in the Rel. It does still leave open something like a Nymaera last pick. It's a very LDL way to draft with that Rel first. And Leave as well, known for having 1 or 2 of those more selfish, I am going to be the main character type picks to his name.
Assume hovering over that Ziggs. Haven't seen it much this series. It's been banned out in second rounds a couple of times. Potentially would be good for the wombo combo coming through. It's not great with the Alistar, so you're likely looking at another pick instead. If you want something more utility, you can look towards something like that Jhin. Assume is quite powerful at that one. Also potential for something like the Kai'Sa as well if you want to really be repositioning. I think this Jhin kind of solves your ability to play through dominant lane, have a better lane pairing than the Ziggs. I don't mind the Ziggs, but it feels like it is a less good pairing with the Alistar than the Jhin.
Yeah, I can see that, but on the other hand, now you get towards the mid lane, you're able to support your 2 side lane threats in a Lucian and a Jax. If whoever gets hit by the Lilia ult as well immediately has a bomb on top, and you got some solid combos there. But now the response from Leave might be, well, you didn't pick the Kai'Sa, I could just do that myself, and we'll lock it in for his own edification. That's the way we do that.
Yeah, and we get to learn words here with Sam. I remember edifice is like, I don't know, it's like a front to something, right? It's like a decorated front, an edifice, isn't it? It's like a building with pretty walls on it. It has like that's an edifice.
An edification is doing that for yourself. You're giving yourself
a pretty front. Nice.
Yeah, exactly. Look at me being so great. It's kind of building strategy.
Leave ends up going towards his Kai'Sa as well, which is something which he has done an awful lot this summer. He's had some great plays on it, some awful. This series has had some great plays and some awful. Leave feels like EDG have put a lot of resources into this guy. We'll now see whether it will pay off. EDG are at 1 and 2 in series. If they lose this series, they go to 1 and 3, and much like Invictus Gaming, they'll be staring down the barrel of a situation where they basically need to win all of their remaining series. It's a very difficult task ahead of them if they were to do so. So losing a series here would be very, very dangerous. So need to see whether they can clutch it out and whether RA can bounce back from what was a very difficult game 2 for them. They just kind of threw their early game into EDG and gave Leave all the resources in the world.
Feels like both games have ended up coming down to late game scenarios. Game 1, Leave couldn't get it over the line. On the Smolder got caught out in a clutch moment from Xiaoshu. Game 2 though, he was the one with the lead. He was on the Aphelios, and the attempted pick onto him in the mid lane did not succeed, and the game broke apart. The light show comes on. The champions are all being flared onto the rift for the very last time here between EDG and RA. Winner takes it all here in Nirvana Group, trying to find their way up towards playoffs.
For the very last time, until they face again in 2025 or something.
Yeah, I know, okay.
For a certain...
Very last time, in 2024. Add in the caveats.
Get ourselves onto that rift, and here there's Gyos.
敌军还有30秒到达战场，免信。
Crowd still all riled up here in an even series, that's for sure. I feel like I ought to clarify as well. Edification, it's generally the moral improvement of someone's well, not like much like the physical improvement.
Okay.
So it's like moral or intellectual uplifting. Damn. So that's the kind of edification it is. So that in that sense, you are made better.
Huh, that's a thing. Okay. Alright. So into game 3. Xiaohao on his Lilia. That Lilia has been so good. Xiaoshu, also an incredible Jax player. I think Vikla, arguably his best champion, has been that Lucian alongside the One as well. So a lot of comfort for Rare Atom. I also really like Joy on the Alistair and Assume on that Ziggs. That definitely helps. Xiaoshu walking up and going to be just threatening this jungle start. Xiaohao's in here, and because Jeje started with that Q, he can't contest for the Raptors. Might end up being a smite fight for that one.
A lot of violence at the level 1. Vikla getting some orders down. Xiaohao comes along. The smite was used. I'm not quite sure who picked that up. I believe it's JJ, but we've got ourselves the script graphics on screen makes it quite difficult, and I apologize. It was in fact the Lilia who secured it despite the smites coming on down, and the win is there for RA.
Yeah, the giveaway is the level 2 coming through from Xiaohao. We couldn't really tell until those mini Raptors go over, so I saw some gold going over, and I was like, okay, someone's done something, but Xiaohao now gets to go Raptors to Raptors, and RA, the level 1 plan, works out pretty well. Last game, it was JJ and his early game level 1, level 2 plan, which worked out a real treat for EDG to help, really RA... Well, rather, hinder RA from their own early game plans, trying to play heavily towards topside. Xiaohao, much better start.
Also, level 1, Solo Kill has to teleport, has burned Flash. That Jack's going to be a dangerous position, especially with the Lilia now going to be reverse clearing towards the top side. Solo could be in a really dire scenario in about a minute, 2 minutes, as that Lilia with red buff and all of those levels might start to mess with that Cassante.
And so, folks, we do see Xiaoshu getting a good trade at level 2 here as well. For those of you who are wondering what's happening with the second series, because LPL has played across multiple arenas and NIP have a home arena in Shenzhen, we will be ending up having a picture-in-picture when that game starts. So we will have that just in the corner so you can keep updated with that. Particularly helpful for the live viewers here. If you're watching this on a VOD, obviously it's going to look a little bit weird. We'll switch over to that ASAP. We'll probably have another 15-20 minutes until that game starts coming online, so we'll have that in the picture-in-picture and try and cover, weirdly, both games at once. We'll be focusing on this one, but you will have that muted just in the corner, so you're also able to keep tracking that one as well, but as this game also comes to its conclusion.
Exactly. That'll be the plan as well. First time we're trying to execute this, so do bear with us. It's an interesting scenario to have to deal with those kind of overlap of series timers, but try in here, try to get the wrong end of a piercing light and a couple love taps from Vikla, even if he's not a misfortune.
It does really feel like a lot of people have been underestimating how well Lucian can play into the core keep. Early on, level 1, Cryan helping out with the level 1 play by kind of starting the Gatling gun and just kind of brawling with Vikla. I think that's fine, but once you get the Foss Bomb and that gets dodged out by that Relentless Pursuit, the matchup really goes to the side of Vikla. He doesn't have that flash, it can definitely hurt that one, but we'll have to see whether Vikla can use that play well.
Nice headbutt away there with some decent work. He's Winky in danger, but so is Dwayne. I think Leaf just wins this one out. One final auto does it, and the bot lane 2v2 goes very wrong for RA.
Yeah, Vikla is going to have his piercing light dodged out by that Valkyrie too. I love this mid lane matchup. Bot lane kill going up to Leaf, very, very important because that Kai'Sa will very much be the assassination threat. It's not an easy game for him to play. Jack's very much one of the better champions into the Kai'Sa because you can't finish off your plasma stacks very easily into that Counter-Strike, but still, Vikla and Crying, you can see how their mobility skills can help them dodge out in a frost bomb or that piercing light. It means that matchup is really interactive. And it means that this mid lane can be just much more fun than the Tristana Corki. You can get some solo kills there. It's not the most boring matchup of all time, but I've seen it so much, I'm preferring this one right now.
Yeah, me too. I always like seeing Lucians be good at the game. Of course, we've seen some mixed ones over the years. Lucian is a pretty tricky champion to pilot correctly, especially once the mid game rolls around and you're really asked to leverage your potential advantages. Still, it's an early lead here for EDG, purely off that solo kill in the bot, so your duo lane kill in the bot lane. An early cull, early recurve bow for Lee, feeling pretty good, especially after the game 2 where he was very much the main character.
That he was, and I think RA, one of my worries about RA is that their early games have been very inconsistent. This one's been good, but you know they still need to kind of finish the follow through on this one. They've done well at the level 1 to get Xiaohao onto the board. It feels like Xiao Shu is in a good spot as well. If the Jax gets ahead of the K'Sante really hates that matchup, and you know even this mid lane matchup going fine as well. They'd want a little bit more out of Vikla, but we'll see whether that can come to fruition beyond this point. Now with the first objective spawning, that's where we need to see this follow through from RA. Can you get yourself those early grubs to help maybe someone like that Jax get sideline pressure? Can you get that dragon to stop EDG getting towards a soul win condition later on? They're not going to be able to contest this one. They're probably just going to have to go towards those grubs.
Wherever they will go, but of course that's kind of fine. In some ways you're running with the Jax, you're running with the Lucian, you're asking in some ways to play a little bit more for those side lane thresholds and pressure points. You've got a Ziggs as well, who loves to be able to chunk down towers and use that satchel to blow up what remains of them. So I think in some ways RA okay to trade these early grubs for that dragon.
Yeah, and they are the ones which are largely trying to play towards stronger solo lanes. I thought, honestly, they'd be playing towards solo lanes as a little bit more effectively through the series, but again, Vikla hasn't performed the way that I thought. So the Raptor respawn can help. A Q's going to come through. You get one of those small Raptors and the big one as well. So Xiaohao getting something for all that. Does eat the passive and the burn from the Faded Ashes, but he gets something away from JJ. So important stuff for Xiaohao getting ahead of the game.
Isn't actually going back towards the grub right now. Is he wanting to go contest on the red buff that isn't there, but might be looking to try and find out
it's the
Krug still.
Yeah. He has the level 6 now as well. He's ahead of JJ. Wants to walk over this wall. Smite's already come through. Xiaohao doesn't have that smite, but he will be able to clear up just a little bit more. Again, he's probably taken about, given the first Raptors and then elsewhere through there, probably taken a couple of 100 gold away from him in that individual matchup now. Important stuff. I mean, you can see the individual matchup plus 300 gold, but just from camps alone, you can see that Xiaohao getting good value out of this one. And going back towards that scuttle, Xiaohao is winning this individual matchup versus the last remaining world champion EDG. The captain of the team, JJ, getting put through his paces.
This sort of brand in general has been invaded every game so far. We've always seen the Lilia obviously in the first game, but game 2, you saw the Zyra attempt. Xiaohao again with the rest of RA trying to do the same here on the Lilia, and we can see the brand isn't as valuable at that level 1, level 2 mark. You can punish him much like a Vi. He needs a few more abilities to get towards that passive where so much of the damage is. You don't get to get that blaze passive until then. JJ though flashing on in, lands some conflagration damage, and down goes that Lucian.
Vikla is behind RA. They lose 2 kills in this early game through some oversteps, and it feels like Rare Adam, despite the fact that Xiaohao is on the board, their laners are not stepping up to the cause as well. So, folks, just to get a bit of a heads up here again, just to say this once again, we do have a second series happening on the other stream as well. We'll just have it muted in the corners. You can keep with that too. Our FPX versus NIP has started. Hopefully it won't cover up anything important on your stream, so we'll have that draft running in the background while we pay our attention to this first series first and foremost, but while you can just have some of that extra information on screen, as this gameplay is played in Shanghai, the other stream is in Shenzhen.
Whereas in that one, no, the FPX gone towards that Leona first pick, and we'll leave it at that. It's a fairly common thing to see. We do love the Leona over here in the LPL. I say sitting in Europe, but you know, metaphorically here in the LPL.
That's the one. So, EDG, ahead in terms of kills. Ahead now in mid lane as well. This Lucian is meant to counter the Corki. This Lucian's meant to have a great matchup there. Falling behind and Vikla falling to JJ's flash gank with the EQ stun, or the Q flash E stun. Spin and mechanic, we've seen more and more LPL junglers trying to refine. I think Croco and Tarzan Alonso which get it best, but JJ on this brand gets that landed in an important play in the mid lane.
Yeah, for sure. It felt like he was safe, and then he very much wasn't. JJ finds that wrap around as the Lilia had forced him into some unusual pathing and timings, I think, because of all the invades on the camp's court. I think Vikla a little off guard there. Now might be looking at Xiao Shu here. A little bit of a chunk back, but JJ will now be spotted as a vision cone is hit. And Xiaoshu, wisely enough, staying away from anything resembling a scuffle right now.
Xiaoshu's doing really well in this individual matchup, so we'll have to see what he can do with that individual advantage. Has the 3 grubs. They're spawning in another 2 minutes as well. If RA can get multiple grubs and get a big fight around, the first flash ult of the game from Xiaohao, the first flash in from Jue for a big combo, maybe that could be a difference maker. Jue's behind the back of mid, might be able to spot out Wink. Do they know that Jue's here? I don't think they do.
They can be in danger. Cryan will hop away. Wink crashing down on the walls. Cryan flashes out as well. They get out of dodge to EDG, but it costs them a summoner in mid lane.
It does. So, EDG, they end up losing themselves that flash onto the Corki, but he's still ahead in gold. He's still doing completely fine. Leave, puts that ult forwards to get that auto attack reset and get himself that W on target. Assumes going to be able to wave clear through. Another Q will get himself that kind of move, but it's a single target Q.
Oh, nearly gets a solo kill. Leave will surely die to the turret. He will.
He could have flashed out. I don't think he realized he could flash out of range. Leave gets the solo kill, but dies solo as well. Assume, with that gold, gets through to his first item, which he didn't have just before that point. There are going to be some minions dying to the turret, but Leave really intent on taking this game into his own hands. This has been the first game, I think, was maybe a bit of a wake-up call for him. He ended up losing there in the laning phase, getting dunked on in the games 2 and 3. He's really controlled things.
He's in danger. So much damage, flashing away from the stun of the Seer, and a kill onto the Lucian.
Going to be the brand damage on the return back. Takes half HP from Vikler and Dre, but the damage is done. JJ flash forward for that stun in mid lane, but couldn't end up, of course, using that flash again for a defensive property because of that point. Now, with JJ dead and the grubs spawning, I wonder whether RA can get themselves towards those grubs. They're not there on a great timing. You do see also that EDG, fantastic vision control from them in this series. Great vision into the enemy jungle now of RA. We don't see this a lot from our Nirvana team, Bruce, which has been struggling more.
On note as well, Milky Way in the picture-in-picture, gone towards the Nidalee, my boy from the LDL, picking up one of his specialties. Does love those very voracious style of junglers. See whether he can pull that one off. Always a tricky one to do. The Nidalee pass will be in dispute here until that game is somewhat played.
And we also get to see Rookie on the Corki, which has played an awful lot too. I did say that I felt like NIP were potentially in a bit of an advantage in the other series in the picture-in-picture because it feels like their solo laners are stronger than FPX's, even though FPX I think have looked better as a team. I wonder whether Shanji and Rookie can have a bit of a free ride and show what they can do from that carry position. Feels like now in this game, coming back to this one, with those grubs now being started from RA, maybe they can play through side lanes.
Ultimate from Xiaoshu there? I think it might have been. Grandmaster's might popped. Looking for some more work. Gets another grub. That's 5. Xiaohao with the speed up. Can look to try and get another one. Lands the E. Doesn't go for a lilting lullaby quite yet. JJ comes on over and presses the D key to smite it away.
So it's still going to be 5 grubs to the side of RA, and that's important for them. They can now bring on kind of the mini version of the Zerg Rush, the Grubageddon. So that will be really, really important. You were wondering why Xiaoshu just ulted in topside before. It's because he wanted to make sure that there was no chance of getting traded back on while those grubs are being taken. He needed to make sure that against all pressure put towards him, if it was going to come through, their solo kill couldn't come down and contest those grubs. We do see a lot of ults like the Dominus and like the All Out and this too being used to just make sure there is no contest and the wave crash can come through cleanly.
They have an idea that JJ is around, throws down the Swell Seed to see whether he can steal away some of those smaller Krugs, but not to be able to happen. Over comes Wink. The sweeper is on to Jue. Just backing away. The lilting lullaby potentially an opportunity on a Wink who's slowed down. Not going to go for anything more. Then crashes out. Does Wink with that Ferromancy on the W. Teleporting in. They really want this to RA.
And they have themselves the little mites to help with it too. They're coming from outside of the range of the
tower. Lands Mega Inferno Bomb. Lilting lullaby afterwards. The Q3 comes on through, but 2 down in the tower. Surely will be taking a bit of a chunk after as well. Clean dive from RA.
So with the 5 grubs as well, with so many deaths from EDG, they will lose this entire top turret. The goal's going to be shared between the solo laners of RA. You can see that Cryan is hitting the bot lane turret, but it's really, really hard for him to take it with the same amount of grubs. RA will take themselves the first turret of the game with all of the plays just before the 14-minute mark, and suddenly Xiaoshu is a hell of a problem.
He is in such a powerful position in this game. Here's the replay, because they know Jue is there, and they try to force him away, and then they realize, this gets a bit tricky. Swell Seed slow, and in a turnaround, it all gets ugly from there.
And what we were saying around the grubs particularly, but this happens just after it, this first fight of the game where you get that first Flash Lily ultimate, the first big play from Jue, and assume like this too, is really important. Almost fantastically played by Solo Kill to get himself the knockback on that Lucian into the tower, but can't quite get that kill.
Nope, and that's the kill against the towers down. 1,500 gold lead for Xiaoshu on the Jax. Can very much become a real menace now. There's no one who's realistically going to be able to manage a fed Jax ahead of the curve in this game, especially if he starts to get towards a second item on this kind of clip.
So Vikla going to get himself into that side lane now himself. He's even in gold to Cryan, just about, and that's going to be something. The fact that Vikla didn't win this lane of the Lucian versus the Corki is a problem in its own way. He got ganked by JJ. The level 1 also didn't help with him too, but this Lucian wants to be ahead. In fact, in the picture-in-picture, we can see the Lucian versus Corki matchup as well.
That's quite fun.
Dodging out of that false bomb there from Care. Very important, that one. This is how the matchup is meant to go. Lucian is meant to brawl through it, use that press, the attack. Vikla not being ahead in the game that we're mainly focusing on does mean that it feels like Vikla is going to struggle to impact the game. Xiaoshu is the win condition from RA, but unlike that Renekton, you are not on the ticking time bomb. The Jax gets stronger and stronger through the game.
Oh my days, that's a Valkyrie out of that swell seed. That could have gotten a bit ugly suddenly. Not going to happen here though, and worth noting that Vikla at least picked up another kill on that top side to even up that lane, so is in an okay point himself. So it's not that Lucian is out of the game, he's just not ahead of it.
Yeah, and the goal given over from the plates and that topside skirmish as well really helping in that regard. So, EDG, they have themselves 2 dragons. It's a Cloud Rift, which is okay for them. It's not the best rift. It's not the best thing for their comp. Once they're in, look, if they're pressing their ultimates, they've already gone in anyway. I think for Kai'Sa it can be important because you can use that to... Cassante is important with it too, but it's not always the best for that. The Herald's now up. Dre has Flash, has ult. There's a chance of a contest, but I think Xiaohao would rather just clear through this farm, particularly with mid lane and top lane Pride going the way of EDG. That will be a Herald, and it will give EDG a chance to smack back and get themselves their first turret of the game wherever they choose to put that one down. That would definitely help towards that.
Thinking about doing it top into the Jax, who's going to have to sit there and just deal with it. Of course, Lucian will be given free time in the bot lane to try and trade that one out. Into the Herald goes JJ on the brand. So that one goes down pretty rapidly. They'll try and get a second charge off here, but I don't think they're going to be able to get a whole turret. They are going to drive on in here.
What's also happening on the other side too is that you need the Herald to make that play on top side. The other team doesn't. RA have the 5 grubs. They don't need to do that. So Vikla now gets himself the tower in that side lane. Again, keeping the gold earned between these mid laners very even. And also another thing which is happening here is that RA are farming on 3 lanes, EDG are farming on 2. So overall, you can just see again slight CS advantages starting to, slight lessening of the early advantages from mid lane and bot lane coming through from RA. They were a little bit further behind, if my memory serves me right. Dragons now spawned. EDG, they were largely on the top side. They gave up pressure on the bot side because Vikla was pushing in. That does mean they're not necessarily set up for this dragon, but again, RA have not been great at getting to the objectives early. They get here now, but there are wards down. EDG choose to use them for solo kill.
Could prove a little bit dicey to manage. All the while, they're over towards the dragon. In a good position to potentially fight this.
So, going up towards this, you have Flash on Xiaohao. You have Ziggs holding this choke point as well. Look for that poke. Look for that ability for EDG to get into the river. Solo Q's trying to brute force his way in. Jax coming in, but he might be late. I think he's gone too far.
Maybe. Xiaohao in the back of the pit goes on forwards, gets a big chunk on the JJ into the Mega Inferno Bomb. Down goes the brand. Doesn't get the much damage as they hope for as Lucian calls down the Rel. Onto the other side goes Leave, trying to get out of here. Exit stage left goes down. A whole ace for RA. They get the dragon. A triple to Vikla. And the rare atoms come out and make some nuclear fusion out of their composite parts.
They do. They get themselves closer and closer to stability in this game. They get themselves a game which, a fight which should explode this game for them. Xiaohao, once again on the Lilia, being a massive menace in the team fights. But honestly, it's the big combos coming through from Assume and Xiaoshu, which really feels, which seals out that fight. And EDG, they walked into a fight they were not prepared to take. Look back to this again. It's a good swell seed coming in from Xiaohao. He gets himself an extra Q through here, so he ends up getting 2 people down with his ultimate. And yes, you have JJ getting some damage down, but he's effectively out of the fight after 1 round of cooldowns, and RA end up massively turning back the play. At least Leave manages to get himself a kill back onto that Jax, but it's not nearly even enough.
Gets something out of nothing, but again, a 5-for-1 with 3 kills going on to this Lucian, who's now 1,300 gold ahead. The Jax, nearly 2,000 gold ahead. The Lilia continuing to accelerate as JJ walks into an Alistar who immediately headbutts him away. Flash on out from the Alistar in trade, so it is still an even option there.
Okay, so EDG, they are now significantly far behind in terms of those grubs, and they don't have themselves the dragon stacking. They could have got themselves that early soul point, which would have been a nice little bump for them. Soul is always a good thing to get. The fact that they are behind in these solo lanes, and also they are kind of struggling to win these fights, is going to really, really hamper their ability to play around the map. They do play towards strong side bot again, but once again, they are missing a lane of fun. They do get themselves that turret, but Ari consistently playing on 3 lanes instead of that 2.
2 mana sight in the picture. Bit of an ult there from Shanji to kill. Looks like an even enough game. 2-2 down there. Excited to get in on that one.
2-3.
2-3, I apologize. Slightly tiny for me too.
Yeah.
But either way, that pickup just came on through. Maybe the scoreboard updated
Yes, again,
just a touch late.
so, for those of you, we are trialing something here. We haven't had to do this here on the co-stream just yet, because both these games are happening at the same time and we can't pause the clean feed. We wanted to make sure that we had some of this gameplay there before we jumped in after this series ends there as well. So we're just putting that on the corner so you can know what the state of that game is likely in that point. Anyway, without obstructing the current series, which is happening. This game 3 in the Nirvana group, the Battle of the Bands, down here in RA versus EDG. If EDG lose this game, they're in a really dire spot again. We keep been saying this all today. If they get themselves to 3 losses, things get really difficult for them.
RA as well then in a potentially great spot as well as Wink. Finds a Shadowing Strike onto Dway though. That's not the easiest side. The Magnet Storm after JJ. Remember with no flashes. Very low indeed. Culling just shy. Can't quite be secured.
That Swirl Seed could have been the death of him. While all this is happening, again, Xiaoshu is again on a side lane. RA consistently farming more lanes better than EDG because they have the solo lane advantages, they have the grubs, and they're also just playing around their combos really well too. EDG, if their first pick is going onto Xiaohao, well, he has a Seekers, and if it's going on to Dre, well, he has the ult, and he can get out particularly. He can normally buy a lot of time. EDG, they want to get a pick to break open this map and make sure that RA are punished from fighting on more lanes than they are, but they can't kill that first target well.
Messy little bit happening in the other series as well. I saw a kill from the side of FPX in the top lane, grabbing one there against the TFers. There was a very, very tight scuffle in the bot lane. Dodged skill shots away from Photic, but did finally secure the Leona. Baron is up and alive in our main series right here as well, and with the lead that RA have, they can start to do some very scary things where if you're responding to our solo laners, well, Lilia plus the rest of the team can potentially take down the Baron.
So, EDG in this one, they are, God, what are they even praying for? They're praying for Leaf to get a good angle in the back of the fight. He's on 2 items. I think that Leaf, he doesn't have the lead he needs to be the pentakill machine, but he might have enough to turn the fight where they can catch at someone at the back end of it. EDG, they want to be looking for picks. The problem is they're so far down, it gets really, really difficult to find that first pick confidently. Going into the Seekers, soon to be Zhonya's from Xiaohao, going into the ultimate from Dre, it means your first pick is just a real pain to get. And even when that does happen, there's a chance that Assume fires back. There's a chance that Xiaohao fires back or Xiaoshu teleports in. We have the Zhonya's now built up for Xiaohao. And that's going to be a big point of concern here for EDG. As the dragon spawns, they do not want to get zoned out of that and face also the poke coming in from RA of the Ziggs and the Swell Seeds.
Yeah, there's not that much magic resist built up yet. There's a Negatron cloak in the inventory for solo kill, but the problem is he's been laning into a Lucio who's got 5 kills now, and a 2-item Jax who, again, is going to be doing a lot of AD damage at this point of the game. It's not like he's built anything like the Zhonya's, of course. Jax Ultimates does hit a fair amount of that magic damage. Either way, still a tricky place for this Cassante to itemize.
Cassante is sat there going, well, I hope I can impact team fights better. I guess I'm a better tank, and that's kind of it.
Yeah,
so, right, we are now looking to see whether EDG can get themselves, well, they might have to just give up this dragon. I think, yeah, okay, they haven't set up towards the dragon. They're going towards Baron Vision, saying, okay, RA, you can finish that dragon if you want. Vickler taking a hard trade, dodges out, and that frost bomb.
Around the culling afterwards is pretty huge. Minotaur trying to buy his way, but the bomb behind means there's nowhere to run. Leave, though, burns down the Lucian, but Lilia gets 2, continuing to stick him into the long, dreamless night of sleep. They can turn towards the Baron afterwards. 2 men the advantage. And they're going to try and take this one out because there's no smite to contest.
That should be it. Solo kill can maybe drag Xiaohao out of the pit, but he's gone a little too early. Here comes Cryin.
Can try and maybe stop that one, but already Xiaoshu knocks out the rest of the AD carries. Solo kill goes all out, but there's just nothing left in the tank. He's trying to hit the accelerator, but he's running on empty. And they get another kill. RA have Baron. They've got 5 grubs. And they can start to break apart what remains of EDG's map.
Leave can't even stay in this mid lane. Xiaohao once again showing exactly why his Lilia might just be up there with the top 3, top 2 Lily. I don't know, this guy's just really good at this champion. Now you have a Ziggs with the Baron push, RA. They haven't even chosen to reset. They get themselves an easy turret. Really does feel like EDG are on the ropes. They get themselves a dragon. It's an objective bounty, but can they get to base in time to defend their inhibitor and the rest of their turrets? The RA, they leave that top lane play alone. They do still have that Ziggs. Very easy for them to play around this this big kind of execute combo. Satchel just about comes through, and RA get themselves 2 swift turrets.
In the blink of an eye, they get a lot of turret gold. They can reset now with even more and look to use the remainder of the barrel. Have a look at this again, because it's Vikla walking in and starting this one off.
He ends up dodging the false one, gets hit by the big one. He tries to go for a big play in here, but he ends up getting knocked up just by the end of the Lilia combo, I think, and leave very quick to punish. Bomb through the back of it, though, ends up, or rather the Swellsea coming through the back of it, ends up getting a load too. So sadly for the side of Leave, he can't be that fight to stand the crouch. You've used your ult at this point. You have your flash, but you don't have that ult to be that giant warhead flying into the backline.
Yeah, and it was always going to be difficult when you lost the brand damage, and you've lost the engage on the Rel as well. You're going to be playing 3v4 there at that point anyway. Unfortunately for them, can't make it happen, and EDG now in a dire spot. 6,000 gold behind, also nearly 7 really, if I do my math correctly. And they've got a final outer turret to try and defend, but the whole of RA is here, and I just don't know how easy that will be.
We shall see. RA, they have themselves that Ziggs, and again, Assume has been such a pain. He's behind to leave, but it doesn't matter. The Ziggs still has items. That's one of the things which can fool you. If both of the teams have gold, then it doesn't matter. Now we have a teleport coming through. Solo Kill has flash. He's trying to get through, and Assume he has flash, but he might just get soloed out.
Violence in the picture and takes it, but more important, Violence on the other screen. Solo Kill gets into the backline. They've gotten 2, but what about the turnaround as the Lily is still free firing? Golden is Xiaoshu, gets a lilting lullaby afterwards, but pulled all out because Solo Kill hadn't used it now. Now Xiao trying to run away and does go down. The teleport works out. There's an ultimate from Leave. Might choose to pull it here. Does go on in. Gets headbutted away. Can't quite get the kill. A flash on out. We'll try for another W. Lands it. And Leave finds another.
Leave gets himself that play, and RA, they overpush with the last bit of their Baron, and it feels like RA, their carries have just not been positioning well. Vikla, in so many of these important fights, has been caught out before he can do that best damage. Same's happened for the rest of this series. Assume he ends up using his satchel a little bit unwisely to retreat from that play, and EDG, they pull the classic. You overpush, you get teleported on. RA, from what was, what felt like an insurmountable advantage, are now back into a competitive game state.
Shut down bounty gold, and suddenly we're looking at a Cloud Soul and only a 3,000 gold deficit. It's huge, and this flank gets 3 with an amazing W.
You can see that EDG, they're trying to split up the team, but what the hell is happening with Xiaoshu and Xiao Hao as well? They should have been defending this front line more. The fact that they weren't there to stop their own carries burning their mobility defensively is a big problem. It's just bad team fight shape from RA. Their front line is not doing enough to buy their back line the space to use their mobility well.
Oh man, it was looking so good, and then Leave sees the opportunity to get that additional kill. A flash from Dway as well, but the W was never going to miss, was it?
Not at that point. It's one of those cases where, like, oh my god, 6,000 damage from that. I'm going to very quickly just show the damage on the other side as well.
Yeah.
It's not that much on the other side. We maybe should have kept that one hidden for the sake of the RA fans. They're still ahead in gold. You still have good items, but it does feel like EDG, they are now at a point where they feel like they can take those team fights. Leave now is at the point where he can start doing that pentakill menace machine. You've got that Void Staff coming through to future-proof that build against any magic resist coming through from RA as well.
Dragon fight in the picture and takes about to start off. You wonder unless there's some Safari happening. It's been a tight game down there and continues to be the case. But this game will take a brief breather until Dragon spawns in a minute. That would be sold for EDG, and it could be a win condition for them. Getting something else on the board, and after this comeback could be huge. 3 items completed for Cryin, 4 for Leave. They are right back in this.
You know what? I think it's time we kind of revisit some players' kind of expected results and stuff like that too. Leave, I think, has had an awful summer. I think he's had to now play for his future within the league. He's had a terrible summer. This series, I think we can see what he can bring at the upper level again. It's just a showcase that he can still do that. It has been a very difficult summer for me. I do think that, you know, games like this have been necessary at this point. I think that this is such an important game for him now. He is the one person that his team can rely on to realistically win this game. He is the damage. Cryin does have 3 items. He can help with that, but realistically, a 3,000 gold lead with a 7-kill Kai'Sa, that's where you're going to look for your carrying from EDG. Vikla, he's now in danger. We'll see if Leaf goes in with that second W. Of course, if you don't know, folks, by the way, if you end up getting that plasma, what you do is you press your W, then you press your R, and it will bring your W with you, so you can cancel that W animation. It's how you get that AP Kai'Sa assassination threat.
get in and immediately auto afterwards for that huge burst proc. Staunch away. Vikla had to reset, does have teleport. Is right back into the lane, look for a bit of a chunk there onto Quine, doesn't find that much. Xiaoxu now looking for a flank, Dragon spawn and over go EDG.
Leaf has been so accurate, that's the Lilia
Oh my god, that's huge! It's up to multiple people! Quine chunk down, solo kill also down about 20% HP, and Xiaoxu's on the flank! They get rid of the solo kill before he can do anything more. Quine dead as well. Golden is Xiaohao, Dragon being started, JJ needs to back away and leave is alive. Dragon goes down, Xiaoxu doesn't get taken out on the back end of it, and they can turn back to Baron.
Okay, so despite the accuracy from Leave, despite the fact this Kai'Sa is trying their damn best to carry this late game, RA are the ones which find the combo first. It's not the center of the Ziggs ult, but it's still the Lilia into the Ziggs combo that ends up catching two people. Split between it, and EDG have to retreat beyond that point. Solo kill Cryan, hit the ground, and RA get themselves that Baron. They get themselves that Dragon to deny the soul as well. It really does feel like RA have just put on the afterburners with that one moment of weakness from EDG.
Xiaohao now with the third item becoming increasingly difficult. We'll have a look again because it got very dicey, but this Swell Seed.
Swell Seed completely unassisted, no one helping with that one. Xiaohao does all of his own stunts. It means that now Xiaohao has already stacked up his Q on the wave, gets to run through the fight as well. Look how much damage Xiaohao ends up doing towards the end of this. JJ gets some good damage back, but Xiaohao really the person who ends up solving this. It was a good damage check though from Leaf. Almost one-shots Xiaoxu, even though he is a level 16 Jax. I wonder if he needs to go towards a Kaenic Rooker, and that might be his last item, because Leaf is absolutely shredding it right now.
Nearly a death cap on the Zig as well, who's beginning to get really scary in terms of damage. Zhonya's completed for Xiaoxu, who's actually gone towards a Negatron Cloak, likely that Wit's End to help mitigate some of that poke. I wonder what Xiaohao despises in this game. I think we saw the Jack show the other game as a tank option is actually going towards more raw damage. You can understand with how Xiaohao's playing. This inhibitor turret, oh no, this tier 2 turret that was such a problem last time. The wards are there again. Solo kill could look for the same flank all over again.
Yep, they could. And as we go on with this series as well, we have to keep an eye on those flank teleports. They have not been good at clearing out these wards. Vikla standing very far back. We can see also in the picture-in-picture, things getting pretty spicy between LPL X as well. Looks like an even game down there. We'll check in with that when we can after this one has ended. RA pushing in, still have that Baron. Teleports from EDG. Look on that mini-map. When are those teleports coming in, if at all?
W so number 2 message. JJ's down! The bomb lands. He's out. They're going to keep on going. They could keep shoving through the turret with the man. Disadvantage. JJ just cannot stand to deliver. The brand punished once more.
And JJ just gets caught. He doesn't have a Zhonya's. He has the flash, but he would have had to flash back into the Ziggs ult, purely out of position. Assume kills the jungler. Now can EDG play without one of their biggest damage sources? 1 and 5 for JJ. Been caught out time and time again.
It's not been an assumption. It's been a certainty. He has been reading these ults so well. The death cap's completed. A huge part of the damage profile gone. And RA might have found that final break in the armor, that final break in the defense they need.
That might just end up being the play which wins RA the series and puts EDG to 1 and 3 while they'll be staring at 3 and 1. Jue going in, pops the ult.
Does not quite yet. Now pops the ult, holds on just about the turnaround. Solo kill pretty huge, but the Alistair chunked pretty low at this late in the game though. Triumphal Roar will heal him up just fine if he gets the opportunity to use it. Down there, the inhibitor still stays standing, I believe, so only the turret broken.
And now RA, they get to walk into the enemy jungle and see exactly what they can get out of that. 2 a team-wide. Red buff is definitely on the menu for Xiaohao. Xiaohao is so
strong.
So fed. Going towards the Void Staff or Crypt Bloom beyond this point, so he is so ready to pop. I think Xiaohao's Lilia once again proving why you should probably just ban this out at this point. So how the hell did JJ get one shot? Was it a bomb and was it an ult? I think it was.
Oh my
Gets a double tap from Lucian as well, and that ult is perfectly positioned. He has to walk forwards. He can't flash forwards, otherwise he'd die. He has to try and flash backwards, but he can't because he would be in range of the Ziggs ult anyway. Fantastically played by Assume.
And again, in a lot of ways, he's supposed to be some of the wave clear, but to do that as Brand, you have to step up to use your abilities. It's not actually that long range. The spread's good, but the initial abilities not so much, and it's well read from the Ziggs, who is not so much poking as chunking at this point in the game. While the backline went Shanji to get some kills. It looks like NIP running apart that one until the turnaround coming on through there. Spicy in the second series.
And we are now, you know what? I'm just kind of hoping RA can close this cleanly.
I know. I want to watch that series too.
That game also looking very, very fun down there. 3,000 gold or just about in terms of the power and power play from RA. Maximum builds coming through for very shortly. 3 for Viktor and Assume. Feels like they'll be reaching them soon enough. Cryan, Leave. They are also very, very powerful. Leave almost at a death cap for his build. Maybe with enough accuracy on his W. Maybe with a good enough assassination. Maybe he can kill someone important enough. I think the big problem is now, though, that because JJ is finding it so hard to teamfight, he doesn't have a Zhonya's, where Xiaohao does have that stasis. It is much easier for Xiaohao to be a damage source in these late game fights.
1, 5, and 6 has been a target of attack. A lot of times he's actually got an elixir of sorcery and inventory as well. Knows the last fight has to be a good one. Doesn't care about the stasis. Maybe doesn't have the gold for it. And is just saying, look, I just need the power now.
So, Solo Kill gets himself onto a sideline somehow. I'm not really sure how that works, I guess. Because RA don't have the soul point, EDG are happy to give that one over to the other side. So that is definitely something to keep an eye on over there. It's going to be a Dragon for free for RA. They're not really pushing the tempo forward. It's quite hard to go into the Kai'Sa and the Corki when they have so much poke now, and also a good amount of wave clear from that Corki. RA need to find a way to break open the base if at all possible. They've got that mid lane inhibitor, but that's the one that's easy to defend. You can flow to the side lane turrets, and they have so much damage onto Bran, Corki, Kai'Sa. They don't care about the super minions that much. And so yeah, alright, still need to find a way to break up in this game.
Still trying to do that. You can see the gold graph there. It is a bit of a heart attack of a gold graph. You can see where RA got leads and then may have lost them once or twice. Still in a good position in this game. This Ziggs, this Lilia, Nightmarish to manage the Jax with the Abyssal Mask in now as well. Not a wit's end, interestingly. Looking to buff up his 2 AP carries alongside his own bit of damage.
Fair point.
Is going to be a menace in a side lane still as well.
Yeah, I do think that Kenrick Rookan is good for laning phase when you get multiple points of that shield. Very, very good to go for other AP items later on, though. Like this Abyssal Mask, because it's just better in terms of the bursty trades beyond that point when you wouldn't have gotten extra value out of a second shield. So Xiao Shu trying to get good value out of that one. Of course, he has a good amount of magic damage himself. The Fog of War is oppressive from RA. They've managed to choke out a lot of the vision. The Baron has spawned, and they have their own poke as well between the Ziggs and the Swirl Seeds. However, Kai'Sa can match them.
Try, of course, not been that easy. Another Swirl Seed onto Wing from slowed down. It's a third of the HP bar. Very easily taken out. As Vikla hit with the wrong end of a brand combo, has to flash out from the Kai'Sa W afterwards.
Oh, Vikla, this was his best game in the series, but it just hasn't been enough in some of these key moments. He ends up blowing his flash. He can teleport back in, but now just look at how much easier it is for Leave to fight into the Fog of War out of his own Fog of War. He might even be able to kill Xiaohao here if he flew in. Very, very disgusting damage coming in from that Kai'Sa.
Worth noting with the observers, toggling the vision. Xiao Shu off on a flank, not a known quantity. If he can find his way in, he's not moving yet. They do not know where the Jax is.
Right, so Vikla, he's trying to corral them in. Xiao Shu on the flank, still not spotted that Jax. Jax has the flash, he can come in.
They don't know, they don't know. There is a control wall behind. Might be in danger that another Swirl Seed only onto solo kill.
And that is a very clutch Valkyrie away from Cryan. If he got hit by that, that would have been the Blitzing Lullaby into a loss for EDG. Jue trying to walk back around into the pit. And alright, are we just going for a big old flip? Leave, how gets the poke?
The last time the burger flip came on through, JJ stole it. Has flash, could do it again. Xiao Shu gets over towards the carries. Cryan though, Valkyrieing away. Golden went so Xiao Shu as well. Now trying to turn this one around. Xiao goes in, gets Golden himself. Doesn't pull the lilting lullaby. Counter strike into the backline. Trying to get multiple moments as Leave. Dives in, trying to save his teammates. But there's just nothing more to be done. Cryan flashing back on now. The health bar so critically low. Bashing away from the satchel, from the damage. The Swirl Seed just shy as well as the bouncing bombs.
RA is so low HP, they have to reset as well. Xiaohao uses his flash, uses his ult. There are a couple of resets which have to come through. Xiao Shu is the one that recalls because he has the teleport. EDG, if they get Leave back to this play, he could still maybe throw a W over this point.
But JJ is dead. There is no smite. And the Swirl Seed lands onto Leave. How much damage he's going to do? It's quite a lot, just about okay. This late in the game, you get worried, don't you?
There was no Blackfire on that, none of the secondary burn. There's a decent amount of damage coming through from Xiaohao, but it's not in burn damage. A lot of it through his Q at this point. Xiao Shu gets himself onto a flank at this point, but it's not the game-ending play. I thought this was 100% going to be a game-ending. He pulls those Zhonya's early. I think that makes sense, because if you get hit by the brand damage, yeah, your team fight's pretty much over. Xiaohao once again gets himself into the thick of things again. The fact that Xiao Shu finally gets himself a team fight entrance, which is once again well-timed. He struggled to do that in game 2, really, really helps.
And Leave just about survives, but the gang is, the flash is down again nearly everywhere. This Kai'Sa, so deadly, so dangerous, but down a cleanse, down a flash, needs to be so wary about going in with the ultimates now. The W's have to be so much of the damage because You go in now against the raw damage of a late game team, you will just pop.
Picture in picture, we are seeing some real blood being spilled on the floor as well between FTX and NIP. So Rookie just going down there in the end of that one play, but we're still going to end the game here to talk about as well. Vikler trying to get some poke out. The poke is largely being won by the Kai'Sa. Vikler again getting hit, needs to be so careful. Vikler has struggled in this late game, struggled in this series. Honestly, it has felt like it has been struggle for him in laning phase and in team fight.
Soul for NIP on the board. I think they're about to secure that one and do so. No real way to contest. That's a pretty big moment.
This AP Kai'Sa is so disgusting. As long as Leaf can stand next to a wall to deny some of that particle effect showing for RA, it makes it much easier to hit. They're walking into the river. Jue's going in.
Gets only onto the 2 frontliners, though not the highest value with Xiaoshu. Counter-strike and clears out the ward.
Jue blowing them all very, very freely. Another W onto Vikler.
Oh, crying. Chunk low by the Mega Inferno Bomb. He's also down low. Jue waiting for that Warmogs to come on through. Damage back, crying just out of range of the Swirl Seed.
Yeah, Xiao has already used his ultimate, so it would have just been burned to stop that recoil. It's going to be Soul for RA. They still have themselves this dragon. The game is not going easily, though. EDG, they still really, really leveraging off the fact that this Death Cap full AP Kai'Sa coming through at this point. Yeah, you've got the Kraken Slayer in, but honestly, EDG are so powerful when they get to play around that Kai'Sa poke. That has been determining the game so far.
Picture in picture, FPX traded the Baron for Hexol. They're trying to get as much value out of this as they can. They get an engage down there as well, which could prove pretty problematic, but everyone just about survives there. Back to our main series for now, though. Baron comes on through. No wards behind this time as freely to flank on for solo kill, who broke the initial Baron trap all those minutes ago.
RA are struggling to do anything to close out the base in this game. They're struggling to find those big combos. And really, when they're kind of umming and ahhing and dithering about in the river, all it's doing is allowing Leaf to potentially get a game-winning combo himself. Yeah. He can do it all himself, because as long as just enough W's hit, RA are going to really struggle. They don't have sustain. They don't have... I mean, at this point, even something like a Nidalee could be really important, because at least you can heal up through some of that poke. Leaf being able to be, hugging the walls, making sure those W's are coming out of Fog of War makes it so hard to dodge, and he's very consistent at hitting them now. Whereas, you look at Vikler. What the hell does Vikler do in this late game when he's solo? He has to dash into so much burst. Lucian in late game like this is really hard to play unless the fight gets very split enough that he can just take 1v1s instead. He is full build. Maybe he can use that to his advantage, but EDG, I think they're very happy just sitting in this status quo, playing around Corki Rockets, and particularly that Kai'Sa W.
We've got Elder in 430. Surely we don't flip over that, right?
I've seen it before. Nevada has showed us that one before.
The album length is getting a bit ridiculous here. I wanted it short and snappy.
I mean, yeah, if we're going to go by that one, it feels like this one is the Endless Nameless, for those of you who like that last, the last track on Nevermind. A lot of people, yeah, a lot of people feel like that. So there's like a 6-minute break in that song, and then the song comes out after. Feels like we're waiting for that now. We've got a 4-minute break and seeing if the song will come to a thrilling conclusion here with the Elder.
Assume just picks up Shadow Flame as well, and reminder, EDG's composition largely pretty squishy too. Swirl Seeds continuing to fly. There's EDG for once with priority around this Baron, spawning still only in a minute and a half though, and they will be spotted leaving, so have an idea about where they are.
A very funny comment was just made about how the hell is Rel only at what I...
Folks, so right.
This is what happens when you only buy pink wards and you don't get anything beyond that point. Wait, it doesn't pull the ultimate early again, going in.
Oh my days, takes a lot of damage, just about alive. The burn is good! Mega Inferno Bond ensures Jie is dead. Leave just about alive, but down to half HP, in danger. Vikler is dead in trade. Into the backline goes Xiaoshu, gets the counter-strike. Leave, ults away, buying time. W away from solo kill, ensures the Pathmaker gets the kill. It's a 2-for-1 despite Leaf being jumped.
And Xiaoshu is really struggling to land the kills. He goes forwards with the counter-strike, but he doesn't get enough value out of it. EDG, they find themselves with their AD carries in the pocket, and the game goes on. It is flashes blown by RA, not for a game-winning fight. I feel like they really need them at this point. Xiaoshu, Vikler not having flashes makes their game so much more difficult. Every time they flash forward and the game doesn't end in their favor, the better it is for EDG. Starts off with JJ realizing that you can't spell shield your way through a full Alistair combo. The headbutt breaks the spell shield and allows the pulverize to come through. They'll also say that Assume also not getting great damage onto Leave there either. He can get that ultimate there. Would have been huge. Wink, great counter engage. And if you look here, he gets the counter strike, but this is not enough value. He gets forward onto that stun, but the cleanser's already through, and then Xiaoshu dies for the attempt.
Solo kill times it well with the Pathmaker afterwards. And there just wasn't the ability to follow, because Vikler was already dead, having been popped during the Magnet Storm. I appreciate the look in from Xiaoshu, I really do. Get some value, but it's not enough. Back towards Baron we go.
Full items in for Assume, which we haven't checked in on, I don't think, has the Shadow Flame, which means that... Yeah, he is going to... Okay, alright, so basically, just means if he hits damage, he's going to do a hell of a lot. That Kaiser W, though, doing so much work. Leave taking down some damage onto that Baron. Vikla here on the side. If you can get a split fight, maybe it'll work better for him. Ari don't want that front to back, I don't think.
Leave his soul boots for Cosmic Drive, by the way. As much cooldown on that W as he can. Crying! Chunk desperately low. Mega Inferno Bomb takes him down to about 10% HP.
Vikla finds himself a moment to go for a 1v1. Tanks down, well, chunks down, Crying with the big ultimate coming through after that point. That might just allow Ari to burn down the Baron. Crying can teleport back in. EDG might want to try go in for a bit of a fight themselves. They have that Pyroclasm, see if they can front to back.
JJ, remember, has no flash though, and Xiaoxu now walking on over. Crying has to be afraid. Under the backline they go again. Xiaoxu gets a hold of that one. Baron down afterwards. Solo kill so low. Wink in the front line. Can only do so much. Solo kill pulls some away. They've got to make that 3 down. Nowhere further to go in. Crying cries his last few tears. Voice Bird of the Grave and leave. He's tried so hard. It just doesn't matter. We've changed genres. It's new metal. And we always knew who the best band there was.
8,000 damage for Leave, and it is not enough. EDG are left numb. They are left in the wake of Rare Atom. It took them a while to end this game. They probably should have snowballed it, but it does end up in their favor. RA to 3-1, EDG to 1-3.
A 45-minute knife's edge game, but in the end, it is EDG that lose. RA slide it in deep. They slit the throat. They go to 3-1.
And as these games are simultaneously happening, folks, we are going to immediately try and switch over to our second series